This Norwood City Council meeting to order. If everyone can please rise for a moment of reflection in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franson.
Here.
Mrs. Hoover.
Here.
Ms. Royce.
Here.
Mr. Bowling, or Mrs. Bowling.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Gurton.
Here.
Mr. Braden.
Here. We have all members present this evening. Moving on to amendment of the agenda, we have 3 items. We are adding a Finance Committee report from April 22nd, so that will be J1. We are adding a Small Business and Economic Development Committee report, also from April 22nd. That will be J2. We are adding a communication from Mrs. Hoover requesting executive session. That will be communication Q2. Mrs. Hoover.
I make a motion, we amend the agenda as stated.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to amend the agenda as stated. Is there a second? Mr. Gurton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gurton. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Franson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yes.
Ms. Royce.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Gurton.
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to special presentations. This evening, we have Mr. Zimmerman with Public Works. So the clicker there should work.
Gotcha. Hello, everyone. Clint Zimmerman, Superintendent of Public Works for the City of Norwood. I'm here to give an annual report for you for the year 2024. Public Works Annual Report. Go ahead. City of Norwood Public Works Department consists of 5 departments totaling 16 current full-time employees. I have a little asterisk next to that because it's usually 17. We had a mechanic leave, but I think we just made an offer to one who has accepted the position. It'll take a while to get him onboarded. We should be up to 17 here shortly. We do have an additional 4 seasonal employees brought up in for 12 weeks in total. The Public Works Department represents roughly 5.5% of the general budget for the City of Norwood. Going department by department, we'll start with the Parks Department. The lead man for the Parks Department is Leo Osterday. He oversees, including himself, 4 staff total. Those 4 staff maintain all 12 parks, cut roughly 108 acres of grass in the parks, on, off ramps, city lots, and sport fields over the course of the summer. They drag and line and maintain 6 baseball and softball fields, paint 5 soccer fields. They're involved in removal and trimming of trees in the parks and the right-of-way. They clean the bathrooms and the shelters before and after the park rentals, picking up trash before and after parks rentals in use. They're the main driver of hanging the holiday lighting and decorations. They pitch in on leaf control, and then they're also part of the snow and ice control program. Moving on to Streets Department, lead man is Denny McNamara. He oversees 4 staff total, including himself. I have an asterisk next to that because there is one as long as the street sweeper is up and running, which sometimes that's an issue. But we do have somebody that is dedicated on street sweeping, goes out on dedicated routes every week. So that 4 staff, one is a dedicated street sweeper. We do pull him off if there's a large street repair that needs to be done. But for the most part, we try to keep him in there. Those 4 staff do the pothole repair, utilizing both hot mix and cold patch, depending on the weather and availability of hot mix, especially in the wintertime. Repair and sealing of asphalt at water excavations, maintenance of storm sewer system and catch basins, They do the majority of the snow and ice control, especially on the regular work days, and not overtime situations. They're the main ones for fall leaf pickup. We picked up roughly 1,800 cubic yards of leaves in 2024. And as I mentioned, also the street sweeping. The paint and sign department, lead man is Steve Bosch. He oversees himself and one other staff, or 2 people total. They do the painting of the crosswalks and the skip lines and stop bars, removal of graffitis. We have a lot of that, especially in the parks. Maintenance of traffic for large events, street closures, block parties, things like that. Repair and maintenance of and replacement of street signage when it becomes faded, damaged, stolen. The maintenance of crosswalk lights and maintenance of traffic lights and controls. The garage department is Nate Roding, who's currently an army of 1. We're hoping to get this other person onboarded here shortly. He is in charge of the maintenance of all fleet vehicles except for some of the specialty fire department equipment. Repair of everything from a weed trimmer to a police cruiser to a dump truck. He's been a fantastic employee for us, and he does also do snow and ice control. A lot of times he's just doing loading of the trucks or repair on existing snow and ice control trucks when they're out and about if we have an issue. And finally, the water department. Lead man is James Grubb. We have 5 staff total. That has an asterisk because one of those staff members is the backhoe operator. The backhoe floats around for whatever department needs him. The water department is always the primary. They take precedent over everything else. After that, then he kind of floats around to department to department as needed. Those 5 staff protect the water quality for the population of about 19,000 here in the city of Norwood, maintaining roughly 60 miles of water main, maintain, repair, and replace roughly 6,500 service connections and meters. All the fire hydrants, repair and replacement of which I think there's about 500. Maintenance of the GIS system data, which is logging all the repairs and everything we do, location of assets, updating of assets is critical for especially EPA records and whatnot. It's just good housekeeping. They all mark all the utilities for Ohio 811 tickets. They winterize all the spring, do the winterization and the spring hookups for all the bathroom facilities in the parks, and also coordinate with contractors on development and reconstruction projects, which is a huge time-consuming thing that happens anytime you have a large project going on. Whether that is when the original Factory 52 was going on, road reconstruction on Lincoln. As you see, we've got stuff going on Montgomery Road now. All of that has to be coordinated. If there's any water work at all, that all has to be coordinated with the water department, or if there's any excavation at all, they have to be involved to make sure that our assets are protected and people aren't damaging our infrastructure when they're out there doing their own projects. Equipment currently, we got our case backhoe. We now have 4 large dump trucks. We were up from 3 on the last report. I have 2 that are new. 2 are still in service from 2007. But we did retire one that was from a 1999, so that is now out. So we're moving in the right direction. A walk-behind paint machine, various mowers, heavy sewer rotting machine, a heated asphalt trailer that has an asphalt next to it, or an asterisk next to it, because we are looking to hopefully replace that this year. We've got a lot of really good years out of the one we have. But like anything, it has a finite life. It's not something that we can continue to beat to death. That will have to be cycled out. I believe that is in the capital sheet for this year. 2 leaf pickers with boxes. Bobcat we purchased in 2023. It's been a great asset for us. And a John Deere Gator for baseball fields. It's also been a great asset. Accomplishments for 2024 were the managing of the Smith Road resurfacing project, managing of the reconstruction of Lincoln. That should be complete by hopefully here end of June. We're hoping for that to be done. Completion of the annual consumer confidence report. I have an asterisk next to that because we have to do that annually. I'm currently in the process of finishing up the CCR for this year, working with Bob Mead at the printers to make sure everything's right before we send it out, and those will be mailed out to every consumer in the city of Norwood. Coordinating the Elm Avenue sewer project in order to get all the heavy lifting that had to go into making sure that project actually happened. coordinating Ralston Avenue reconstruction, managed repair of several storm sewer and inlet pipes in 2024, worked with ODOT on the 562 project, managed another successful Norwood Day parade setup and cleanup. Hope to have another one this year as well. Held 2 successful tire and Freon events in 2024 and completed the lead and copper rule requirements for the EPA that was due in October, which basically we had to catalog every house and every account in the city of Norwood had to be listed as to whether or not we knew what the service line material was or not. If we did, we had to log that. If we didn't, we also had to log based on its age what its likely material was. So everything has to have some kind of an entry. You can't leave anything that's just blank. So even if we don't know what yours is based on the age of your home and when it was constructed, we have to make an educated guess as far as what it was, and we have to err on the side of it possibly being lead. So if you happen to log on, there's a link, website for the health department where you can go in and actually see where your house is listed. And if you believe it to be incorrect, please reach out and let us know if you care to look that up. Goals for the coming year: additional safety training, always try to keep up on that or improve on that over in years past. Succession planning, I have an asterisk next to that because we are currently looking to fill a assistant superintendent public works position, hoping to have that filled here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. And for this year is basically going to be managing the Montgomery Road pedestrian improvement project. Also the Montgomery Road water main replacement project, which is currently ongoing north of Norwood Avenue. Managing the Montgomery Road urban paving and resurfacing project with ODOT. The Elm Sewer project is getting underway. Ralston Avenue reconstruction project just started. The South Jefferson reconstruction project this year into next year is coming up. We have plans for possible weir work that we're looking into to see if maybe something can be done with Weir Avenue. We'll continue to replace aging infrastructure, water main services, and stormwater in conjunction with those street projects as much as we can. And here next month, we will be having our triannual water system sanitary survey by the Ohio EPA. Mariano Hensel is our contact at the EPA. He will be down here for an on-site visit sometime in June. And hopefully that goes off without a hitch. I don't foresee any problems, and neither does he, so we'll see. And that's pretty much it for the annual report. And if anybody has any questions.
Mrs. Hoover.
I've got a couple. One, can you go back a couple? The annual confidence report, is that the trifold we get with the water, drinking water?
Correct.
My assumption is that this is just a curiosity question. Is that a federal requirement that is done?
Yes.
And then just, again, curiosity, how much does that cost?
All together with the printing, the mailing, and working together to get all that stuff compiled, I would have to say probably around $6,000 to $8,000 total.
Okay. Again, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Very excited about the assistant superintendent job, because I know I think everyone in the city says you do the job of 4 people. You might say more than that.
No.
What will that look like? What will your responsibilities be? What will the assistants?
So the assistant superintendent will be somebody that basically going to be the person out in the field. Like I have my meetings with the lead men in the morning and whatnot to set the expectations for the day, major things that have to be done. This will be a person who's actually going out throughout the day, making sure people are not only doing what they're supposed to be doing, but doing it as well as it needs to be done. Overseeing basically the daily personnel management of the crews out in the field, and also helping with some of the things like they won't be generating purchase orders or requisitions, but they will be making sure that the people that have the requisitions are using the requisitions for each of their department, make sure that the receipts are gathered, they're turned in, because there's just things that have to be done that go through the auditor's office for auditing process and whatnot, to make sure these things are being done. People are keeping tabs. They know how much money they got. Sometimes the guys will not be real great at keeping tabs on how much they've spent, and they think they've got more than they do, or So helping out with some of that and basically allowing the superintendent to focus more on the larger projects like the road reconstruction projects and things like that, rather than getting mired down in the day-to-day of what has to be done at the public works for personnel management.
And that sort of takes me to my next question, which is, what are you most looking forward to being able to give more attention to?
There's so much that has to be done on the water side of things, giving it the attention to detail that it really needs, and making sure that we're putting things in place when we know there's going to be a road reconstruction project going on. Everybody's always wants to comment and say, well, there's federal funding for that. There is, typically. The problem is the amount of hoops you have to jump through to get that money. It's a huge lift, and it's very time consuming. There's, a matter of fact, there's going to be 2 ordinances that you guys are going to be voting on here shortly that you guys have already passed. And we've passed them in this way in the past, and it's never been a problem. But for some reason, some people changed in the hierarchy at the Ohio Water Development Authority. Now they want the ordinances, it's the way it was worded, they wanted it worded slightly differently. And so that's the reason why you're seeing the exact same ordinance we're asking you to pass again, just because they felt apply for was not strong enough language. They wanted language to say, we authorize the Safety Service Director to enter in an agreement. So the way we had done that before was fine, but they have now changed their mind. And so if you want access to the funds, you have to do what they say. You have to meet their criteria. So just little things like that that are so time consuming that when you're pulled in 60 different directions at a time, you have to, it's triage. You have to figure out, you can't do everything. And so you have to figure out what has to kind of get sacrificed. And personnel management shouldn't really be getting sacrificed.
Mrs. Hoover.
One last question, and this, I'll be impressed if you can do this. About how many millions of dollars of repair work is on that list?
Roughly 8.5.
Less than I would have thought. It's really, for me, impressive when we see this list. We all know Norwood has a devastating infrastructure issue, and this is the level of work that you guys are doing. And it's really pretty impressive. I know from all of our conversations, you're pretty dedicated to making sure that you can make every dollar go. How can you maximize? And the fact that this is only $8 million is really pretty impressive. So I'm very excited for you to get an assistant superintendent.
Thank you.
No one can replace your institutional knowledge. This is another fun one. How many miles of street does Norwood have?
We have roughly 60 miles straightway. We have about 112, 114 lane miles. So if you break that into lane miles, it's about 114.
Like, who knows that? I mean, that's just awesome. So thank you for your brain and your dedication.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? Mr. Moore.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Zimmerman, for the report. If I'm not mistaken, it's been maybe like 5-6 years since C-Click Fix came into the
Yes.
picture. And I'd just be curious to hear you talk about that. Adoption processes,
Sure.
Is it being more used, less used over time?
It is being more used over time. And to be honest with you, I was a little apprehensive when at the outset of how it was going to be used and embraced by the public. I'm very pleasantly surprised. It really does allow us to drill down on issues like, especially there's a lot of times where people will take to social media to air a grievance or a complaint about something, but we don't monitor social media for that. So this gives an outlet for people to actually know, like, oh, there is actually a place where I can go actually request repair work to be done, whether it's a pothole or a damaged street sign. There's a bunch of different preset categories that you can choose from. I really thought that we were going to have more problems with people using it as a platform to just basically troll, but that has not been the case. I've been very pleasantly surprised at that, and it does allow us to go out and target individuals who need relief or asking for relief With one caveat to that is sometimes when somebody calls for a pothole on their street, we kind of get bogged down because we're out there, but we don't want to drive past other potholes on your way too. So we'll just, so we get, a couple of plates on, requests on Monroe. We try to go out and hit, like, all right, well, Monroe needs it. And we try to hit all of Monroe. So we try to do in a targeted, approach just because we don't want to be seen driving past one bad thing to go to something just because somebody specifically asked for that. So when we're in the area, we try to take care of it as best we can. The patch that we put down doesn't last forever, especially if you have snow and ice or a lot of rain and a lot of traffic over top of it. Sometimes we do have to go back to the same locations multiple times, but when you're dealing with a community that has not invested in its infrastructure for 60 years to the extent that it probably should have, we're just playing catch up. We've made great strides, especially since the beginning of this administration here in the last 5 years or so, but there's just so much that needs to be done, that.
Yeah, thank you for that. If I may, could you go, I think maybe one ahead?
For the goal for the year or back?
Yeah, goals for the year. I guess I was just wondering if you could expand briefly on the South Jefferson project. What's the nature of that? Is that just
That'll be a total road reconstruction project, and that will go from Williams Avenue all the way to Duck Creek. From what I understand, it's a full depth restoration, reconstruction of the street. I believe there is some water main replacement work in there as well. Upgrading I think it's a 4-inch that's on that main. We'll be upgrading that to an 8-inch. We'll also be doing all the services and everything for that as well. There'll also be the ordinances that you're going to be looking at for Ralston, Montgomery Road. We'll be doing one for South Jefferson as well to try to provide some kind of incentive for homeowners to replace their privately owned portion. There is some burblings at the state level about whether or not they're going to pass some legislation that's going to require systems to replace not only their portion, but also the homeowners' portions over the next 15 years. I know that's probably pending. I don't know if that's going to get any traction in the State House, but it's something we need to be planning for. I think in 2020 dollars, just replacing the service lines for the city of Norwood was around $80 million. So that's going to be a huge issue. But just for the South Jefferson project, it should be a total reconstruction, just like what's going on in Lincoln. And it should be a fantastic thing. The road's pretty bad shape.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Mr. Gurdon?
Just a comment. You brought up snowplow earlier on, and since it's warmer outside, I think we've kind of forgotten about that. I just want to thank you for the snowplow work that your team did. I really had a giggle whenever I drove outside of Norwood, and you could definitely tell where the line was because we had our city had taken care of it much better than Cincinnati. So, amongst other things, that's one that I just don't want to forget since it's May.
Thank you very much. I did put together a little report for the Safety Service Director detailing what our response was. I'd be more than happy to share with anybody who would like to see that. But I do take a fiendish delight in making sure that you do know when you hit the City of Norwood Corporation line that you know you're in the City of Norwood. So, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Don't forget your flash drive.
Do you have the map?
Yeah, I got the mouse. I have the mouse here. Mrs. Franzen.
Sorry, Mr. President, I had a point of clarity. When we did the amendment to the agenda, did we also add the ordinance that the Safety Service Director had sent to us? Or is it just those two committee reports?
It was the two. Are you referring to the EPA? Or there was an additional ordinance.
Yeah, there's an ordinance amending Ordinance 19-2025 to, it's the forward development for Montgomery Road pedestrian safety improvement
The
project.
number 4?
Number 4, yeah.
M4.
Yeah. Did we add that or did we not with the amendment? Because Mr. Miracle wasn't sure if we had.
I would have to look. I'm assuming whatever was sent to Angela on Friday.
Apologies, it is on our agenda, our
Yeah.
updated agenda. So I withdraw my question.
All right.
My bad. I wanted to make sure that we are not foregoing that since that is a very time-sensitive thing.
Gotcha.
So,
Yes, no, that was item number 4.
awesome.
Yeah, and the, where it was omitted from the Friday packet, it was shared in the updated today.
Yes. Thank you for that, and I just did not see it because I was on the wrong agenda.
All right. It happens. It's a short week.
Yep.
All right, moving on to next item on the agenda, we have requests to address council. We have 2. The first is Carl Holst.
Hi, I'm Carl Holst. I just wanted to talk. I talked a little bit last city council meeting about my application being denied, but I kind of want to go into a little more detail. So I have a house at 4162 Forest Avenue, and I've applied for a front yard driveway. I'm going to show photos of the property, permit applications, an adjudication order, what meets code, my current application, and possible resolutions. So here is my neighbor's yard, 4164. You can see her driveway. I have the red brick house. This is the 3 houses in sequence. And this is 4156 Forest Avenue. You can see their driveway. I originally applied for a curb cut on November 12th. It's actually 2024. And this was my application. A curb cut application, if you don't know, to get a driveway, you have 2 applications. You have a curb cut application and you have a zoning permit application. So I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. This is what your curb cut application looks like. It's 4 sheets. And then here's your zoning application. So when you usually get a denial for an application, it's called under the law an adjudication order. So required by the Ohio Residential Building Code of 2019, it's 107.2.1. You have 30 days for a municipality to review this, and I highlight at the end, an adjudication order denying the issuance of a license, which is a permit, shall specify the reasons for such denial. Ohio has reinforced this law and made it a part of the Ohio Revised Code, so it just doesn't apply to building departments. So in the Ohio Revised Code, it's very similar language. It's 3791.04, Section E. You have 30 days. Again, it says an adjudication order denying the issuance of a license shall specify the reasons for the denial. So I've talked to Mark Reeves and Ralph Wolf, and they've told me that I can't appeal the safety director. I have 3 rejection letters from the safety director on December 10th, 2024, February 5th, 2025, and April 4th, 2025. I tried to file an appeal on April 23rd, 2025, and they would not accept my application. So here's copies of the adjudication orders. You can see on the first one, staff findings, it says request for a driveway and curb cut was applied for. Safety director did not approve the curb cut. Here's the second one. It has a little more, and I'll go into this a little bit later, about some zoning ordinances. And then the third one is an identical replication of the first one. So I spoke to Mark Reeves, I believe it was January 14th, 2025. The safety director advised me to speak to Mark Reeves. And to the best recollection, Mark kind of stated 3 things. He said he doesn't like front yard parking. He said the safety director won't give up a street parking spot for an off-street parking spot. That's not in your code, but he said that's a precedence the safety director has established. And then he said the yard has to be 36 feet wide because the code says the parking space has to be 25% of the width of the yard. The minimum width of a parking space is 9 feet. I pointed out that the code that he was talking about does not in fact state that, and Mark kind of raised his hands and said, well, that's how I interpret the code. So what does 1153.20 say? Number D, it says in an R district, so we're R2, The parking in the front yard setback shall be permitted on a driveway no greater than 20 feet wide, I'm 9 feet wide, and occupying no more than 25% of the front yard setback. So the question is, what is a front yard setback? So the front yard setback is established, I have the definitions from your zoning code of what yards front yards are and a setback line, but on Forest it's 70 feet wide. It starts in the middle of the street. The street is 48 feet wide, so you have 22 feet left over, and on each side of the street you have 11 feet. That is areas that I cannot build into. That is the front yard setback. That's how it was explained to me by Mark. Your setback line in your definitions does say that it only applies to buildings and structures located above the ground. So that is not a driveway. Driveways are not above the ground.
Mr. Holst, your
Yeah.
5 minutes are up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
Our next request to address council is Bishop Sonny James.
Good evening, everyone. First, let me give credit and honor where credit and honor is due. I don't know if he's still here. Clint Zimmerman is a good man, and he's good for Norwood, and we as residents of Norwood need to appreciate the quality and value that God has blessed us with in many areas. Recently, we had the first annual Youth and Community Safety Summit, and I was so ecstatic to see Councilman John Moore standing with some of Cincinnati's council members and giving different presentations. I know that Mr. Braden had some family stuff going on, and I had told him here that if he had tried to make it, he and I would be squabbling in the middle of council chambers because family comes first. And so I honor you. But he was with us February 23rd. And then we had Mr. Eaton, who is running for council at large. And we gave a few certificates. And this particular certificate says 2025 Youth and Community Safety Summit Certificate of Recognition. The called into action recognizes also Mr. Ryan Beck as an ambassador to support youth and build safer community. It's event planner Bishop Sonny James, May 18th, 2025. And I want to just say thank you, because Chad Eaton came and we had 4 pillars that we wanted to accomplish. We accomplished all 4. And to date, anywhere in the US of A, I believe these 4 pillars that we just accomplished in Norwood were the first of its kind anywhere. With all that's going on with our youth, the first pillar to accomplish was gathering youth and to actually hear from them. We accomplished that. The second was to bring the community together and to actually hear from the community about these youth issues. We accomplished that. The third pillar was to bring in community advocates that serve the youth and that are committed to serving the youth. We accomplished that. The fourth pillar I'm very proud about because, as I've told you all, I'm going after $1 million donors. And I had told you all that I had already accomplished the first. Well, the fourth pillar was to have donors there on site to hand out checks. We accomplished that. So coming in July, we're going to have our think tank and action plan. Now, I'm not going to bash those of you who didn't even give me the decency to respond to your invite to say, Bishop, I have a hula hoop competition, or I'm eating some barbecue ribs and I can't make it. Guys, we are moving forward in this fine community. And even recently, there were some folks in lieu of the death of a young man and his father doing what he did with the sheriff. We had some out-of-town groups coming into Cincinnati, and I was at a rather large meeting, and the concern was Norwood. Coming into Norwood because of the ongoing reputation. Guys, I stood up to that group, and I said, over my dead body, I advocate for this community and for the advancements that we have made. And I'm trusting that we're going to continue to make them. One thing that I'm excited about, I'm going to reach out to Mr. Zimmerman because I heard today we're looking for an assistant superintendent. And anybody who knows me, I kind of like a little flavor. And so we're going to see if we can't assist in that process. Second, I want to say to all of you, Mr. Holtz, I gave you my word. I'm going to honor that. We've got to do a better job, guys, when people come before us and they make presentations, whether we agree with them or not. We owe them the human decency to meet with them and to give them answers. And Mr. Holtz, I promise you, I'm going to stand with you until you get at least answers. It's the human decent thing to do. So for all of you guys that continue to support our youth, keep coming. Summer is here. God bless you all.
Thank you. Moving on to the next items, we have the committee reports, standing reports of council. And the first is the Finance Committee report from April 22nd.
To the Honorable Council of the City of Norwood, your Committee of Finance, Budget, Audit, and Claims, to who was referred, the 2006 tax budget, standing reports, and claims. Beg leave to submit the following report. The 2006 tax budget is due July 15th, 2025. The Auditor's Office will have it the Auditor's Office will have it before Council in June with time for 3 readings. The Treasurer's Office is currently understaffed and seeking applications. The Treasurer's Office also reported on tax filing metrics. There are approximately 20,000 tax filing accounts, and in response to the postcard campaign, 354 new accounts were opened this year. The auditor has begun weekly meetings with the Safety Service Director, and the Auditor's Office also submitted a new records retention policy for approval to Council. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Jeff Girton, Mr. John Moore, Ms. Emily Franzen, and Mr. John Braden.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to receive, file, and accept the committee report.
Motion by Mr. Braden to accept the committee report. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Mrs. Hoover.
I have a question. I have been watching some of the meetings that our auditors having with the state, and I understand that the process of us getting out of fiscal emergency has been challenging, might not even be the right word. Is there anything that council can do to facilitate with the process? Because I know that the mayor has talked about the sense of the goalpost being moved. And, you know, our treasurer is telling us how healthy our budget is right now. Is there anything that council can do to facilitate the process to get out from under this?
Mr. Miracle.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, Mrs. Hoover, there are 34 items to report on accounting methods that we have to address. Many of those will be coming to you for your consideration. That is what we would ask. But anything other than that, no, other than keeping you abreast of what's going on during the Finance Committee meetings that we have.
Could you give any prediction when we might be moving out? 2026? 2029?
Well,
2040?
No. As far as prediction goes, our intention, we would love to have it done by the end of this year, 2026 at the latest.
Thank you.
There's a tremendous amount of work.
Yes.
And then of course, it has to be approved by the auditor of state, and then they have to come back and they have to test. So there's many times they have to come back and test more than once. So yeah, it is a long process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mr. Braden, seconded by Mrs. Hoover, is to accept the committee report. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Burton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. The next item is a Small Business and Economic Development Committee report also from April 22nd.
To the Honorable Council of the City of Norwood, Ohio, we, your Committee of Small Business and Economic Development, to who was referred Food Truck Ordinance and Fees and Small Business Promotions, beg leave to submit the following report. Food trucks have been issued their renewed licenses, and we were made aware that the amended food truck ordinance that Council approved was not sent to the Planning Commission for review. I will follow up on getting that through to the Commission. We also discussed potential routes for promoting local small businesses. Respectfully submitted, Sam Bowling, Mrs. Emily Franzen, Mrs. Susan Hooper, and Mr. Jeff Gurdon.
Thank you. Mr. Gurdon.
Make a motion to accept the committee report as stated.
Motion by Mr. Gurdon to accept the committee report. Mr. Moore.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item, this is third reading of ordinances and resolutions. This is an ordinance amending the Norwood Public Records Policy adopted by Ordinance 52-2020.
Ordinance amending the Norwood.
Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we have the third reading.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to have the third reading of the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
And Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the third reading of the ordinance.
Ordinance amending the Norwood Public Records Policy adopted by Ordinance 52-2020.
Thank you. Is there a motion to pass the ordinance? Mr. Gurdon.
Make a motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Gurdon to pass the ordinance. Is there a second? Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
No.
Mrs. Bowling?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Nope.
By a vote of 4-3, the motion carries. Moving on to introductory readings of ordinances and resolutions. The first is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Montgomery Road from Norwood Avenue to Fenwick Avenue and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Braden.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Montgomery Road from Norwood Avenue to Fenwick Avenue and declaring an emergency.
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Montgomery Road from Norwood Avenue to Fenwick Avenue and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Montgomery Road from Norwood Avenue to Fenwick Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
I move we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Mr. Moore.
I just want to clarify from Mr. Zimmerman, so these are all things in the nature of the three readings. These are all things that we have passed before the Ohio, the state basically asked for the improved language that was more binding, let's say, and therefore, while this we're doing all three readings, this is actually something that has been in front of us before.
Correct. And for this funding cycle that we're trying to make sure this gets done is for the previous cycle that restarts in July. So they've asked for clarification. The original ordinance said apply for the loan. They're asking for a little more rigid language saying enter an agreement, loan agreement. They've got the minutes from the Financial Recovery Commission meeting. They also requested that as well because we are in fiscal emergency. But it's just to meet their request for the sterner language and trying to have this done so that when they meet in June, in early June, that this is passed with immediate effect and can be seen as a passed ordinance.
Thank you. Any further questions? Motion on the floor by Mrs. Hoover, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to pass the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item. This is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Ralston Avenue from Worth Avenue to Dale Road and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Bowling.
I move we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Gurdon.
Second the motion?
Seconded by Mr. Gurdon. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Ralston Avenue from Worth Avenue to Dale Road and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Ralston Avenue from Worth Avenue to Dale Road and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a loan agreement with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency not to exceed $400,000 to replace lead water service lines to privately held properties on Ralston Avenue from Worth Avenue to Dale Road and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Braden to pass the ordinance. Ms. Royce.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Royce. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance amending Norwood Codified Ordinance Section 1759.07 nuisances to revise the types of weeds determined to be a nuisance. Mrs.
I
Franzen.
move we have the first reading.
Motion by Ms. Franzen to have the first reading of the ordinance. Mr. Moore.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Mrs. Franzen.
Yep, just to update, so this had been on the docket a little while ago, and then there were some concerns with the health department of how it might be enforced. So we changed some of the language to clarify that things that are outside of like a garden or managed area are what we're actually concerned about. And things that are being grown inside the managed area would not be subject to that 8 inches of growth that would trigger an issue with the ordinance. So it just took out some of the language about specific plants that are actually native and just made it all weeds that are above 8 inches. It's basically the same, except it doesn't include milkweed and other stuff.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mr. Moore, is to have the first reading of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the first reading of the ordinance.
Ordinance amending Norwood Codified Ordinance, Section 1759.07, nuances to revise the types of weeds determined to be a nuance.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's nuisance. So sorry. Not nuance, nuisance.
We get tied up with those nuances.
Nice catch.
All right, moving on to the next item. This is an ordinance amending Ordinance 19-2025 to authorize the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Ford Development for the Montgomery Road Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. Mr. Girton.
Make a motion, we suspend the rules and have all 3 readings?
Motion by Mr. Girton to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Mr. Braden.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance amending Ordinance 19-2025 to authorize the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Ford Development for the Montgomery Road Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. Ordinance amending Ordinance 19-2025 to authorize the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Ford Development for the Montgomery Road Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. Ordinance amending Ordinance 19-2025 to authorize the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Ford Development for the Montgomery Road Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
I move we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
A second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to administration reports. Mayor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was good to be seen and be with others at the Memorial Day celebration at Victory Park. Just about every council member was there, and quite a few different candidates were there also. Always a good event to memorialize what went on in years past and what potentially could go on in the future, I guess. But a couple of different hiccups. One thing with the timing of the work on Montgomery Road, and I don't know if Clint went over much of this in his public works part, but I mentioned at the last council meeting that we had some timing issues and different things going on. There will be a lot of work going on in Montgomery Road through this summer. And of course, during the summer is when we have the parade also. So we're going to have to really look at maybe some alternative parade route or just how that is all completed due to some of the project, the pedestrian safety project and the paving and everything else that's going on. Don't worry, it'll still happen. It'll still work out. But we definitely have to look at some of that stuff. The car show that's planned for the Saturday prior to the Norwood Day celebration is a go. As far as I can tell, we're going to have a really interesting car show that Saturday morning.
And then that Saturday around noon, all the Norwood Day stuff starts down there on Harris Avenue also. So that's going to be a big day. And as we've said before, it's going to be quite a big week. The swim pool was up and functioning, although we had a couple of, again, hiccups with with those systems as we were preparing the pool. But through some really big efforts on both Clint and Darren Hackworth and I guess Cincinnati Pool Management, they were able to get that all up and running. Now, Mother Nature didn't quite work out the way that we wanted it to. It was very cold, so the swim pool wasn't opened up. There were some people that were disappointed. I'll call them sun worshipers. They really wanted to be there for for the clouds to clear and the sun to come open. But we don't staff the pool for the sun deck. We staff it for the water and the swimming and stuff. So hopefully that didn't cause too much of an inconvenience. And I'll still again blame it on nature. It was not really our big thing. So there's quite a bit of activity, quite a bit of projects going on. Interesting to talk about the FRP. I don't even want to talk about the FRP. I feel like I feel like I've got beaten up so much with the FRP this year, and then when we get out of it and how we get out of it and the testing and all that stuff, it's like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion. So when you say, give me a timeline, I think it will happen after I'm out of office, which is a couple of years from now. And honestly, that's just how I feel like it's been going and going to go. So that's about it for administrative reports. Sorry for coming in a little bit late. Thank you.
Any questions for Mayor Schneider? Mrs. Bowling?
When will the pool finally open?
Pool will be open this weekend. Hopefully it'll be sunny, but that water is still going to be cold. And that was a part of it too, is, I mean, they finished prepping and getting the water, up to level and everything 2 days before it was going to open. It's an Olympic-sized pool. It needs sun to heat up that water. So you talk about and I know kids don't care. They'll swim until their lips are purple and they don't, but anybody else, you're going to get, as an adult, you're going to get in for a few minutes and get right back out and say, I'm not interested in that. So,
Mr. Braden?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, don't beat yourself up. We all saw this coming. I mean, we've been watching this for years, and I wouldn't beat yourself up. And then on the other hand, me and my buddy already made plans for the car show, so just you bring that up.
Awesome.
I've already made plans for that. I can't wait to get my car out, so come vote for me. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
No, I'm sorry, just to clarify, the show is the Saturday morning after the parade or the preceding Saturday?
right. After
Saturday
the parade.
morning after
Friday
the
night
parade.
will be the parade and Saturday morning will be the car show in the morning. It goes from 9 until 12 and it's really just a car show, something to bring out. And hopefully we'll have a lot of Norwood cars. I know there's cars all over the city in garages and they don't have to be perfect cars. You know, I'm hoping to have my grandfather's 1966 Ford Galaxy, and you'll see it's a work in progress, but it's going to be in that show, which is be fun to see. So, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, Mr. Bonzo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. So we presented to the tax, Tim Wagers, our tax commissioner, and I, we presented to the finance committee prior to this meeting. I'll just kind of give you just a quick summary. So far for the year, our tax collections, they're up about 15%, 1.4 million. Almost all of that is net profit tax, which is basically just a tax on earnings that are kind of earned in Norwood. And there's a formula that Ohio has for businesses. You don't have to be headquartered here to have to pay net profit tax to Norwood. You could have, a business selling things like at Rookwood, but essentially, most of that increase is due to net profit. So, and it's just really unpredictable. There's times that we have, and I was telling the finance committee, there's a business that might pay $0 in net profit tax for tax year 23, and then last year sent us a check for $1 million, and it's just can be completely random sometimes how that shapes out. So, anyways, just wanted you all to know that. So we're looking really healthy. I think for the year, we're hoping that we keep the $1.4 million increase that we have now and kind of carry that through for the rest of the year is what Tim Wade, the tax commissioner, is kind of anticipating. So hopefully it's there. I mean, of course, if it's more, we'd love that. But it's, like I said, it's very hard to predict on the net profit tax things. Other item, I got to meet with the recreation director and the whatever program manager, Clinton's title, to kind of look at pull, I guess we'd say pull program policies and procedures. So just looking at the contract and different things that have to get done with that. Mayor Yeager, the deputy auditor, was there as well. It was very informative for me to kind of hear some of the systems and places that they have, and there's definitely things that can be improved as well. So looking forward to kind of seeing how the pool season goes. And I know we're going to work on some revenue accounting to make sure that like pool passes and pool daily admissions kind of get in the reports that you all get from the auditor every month are kind of really making sure that they're attributed correctly. There's a significant amount of revenue to the recreation department right now that is miscellaneous revenues, how it's kind of classified, and a lot of that probably can get classified better. So we're going to work with them on that, and I mean our office has a place in that as well, but to make sure that gets better classified this year. Also, just with the tax, department, so we, it's amazing how much that they have gotten done this year, even with being 2 employees down. So we're, we hoped to have those filled, and I've talked to you about that in previous meetings. One of them specifically, I think the issue was that without the financial recovery plan, we couldn't hire, we had intended to hire them earlier, but there was a 6-week period between when we gave them the offer and when the start date was going to be. And they found something different, I think, at that point. And then the other one, I think, is a little bit financial related. So we're working with the HR director, working with the union, just to try to make sure that we are doing everything we can to ensure that the role is priced appropriately, or make sure that we're paying people appropriately for that. Tax clerks are notoriously, it's a very hard job, and there's never an end to it. So there's always more work to do. Even when we get through all of the auditing of the tax returns, we have additional work and stuff that we can do and really need to do, but it never ends. So it's kind of a deflating job. It's not like a job where oh yeah, in 3 weeks I get done with this project and I got time to breathe. No, the next thing is just right there. So a lot of times, even when we do get tax clerks, they'll post out to other roles at the city after a year or two, because it's just a really hard job. I mean, I would kind of put that in the same category sometimes as the water department clerks, because they are also, although you've been able to keep them better than we've kept the tax clerks. So it's also a job that's very hard to do, because it's so much work, and it's so much time that takes on it. As opposed to, I'm not going to say as opposed to, I won't start naming roles that say are easier, but I don't want anybody getting ideas. But anyways, long story short is we are working really hard to try to fill those 2 roles. We're highly appreciative of the HR department. Before that Mayor Schneider was here, we didn't even have an HR department. So it's really amazing just kind of the progress that we've made. But I'll keep y'all updated and let you know when we get those things filled. But the staff that's in there, back to that, they've done amazing to try to get through this, and the numbers kind of reflect it. Like, they've really worked hard to get caught up. So, and we definitely appreciate it. Any questions?
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
I'm curious, my perennial question, any update on the host community cannabis fund?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I don't have an update on it now. I mean, the last update that I did have, I think I've shared with you all, is the 20% instead of 36%, and then it would only be for 4 years. I have not seen where the Senate is with their budget stuff. If you haven't heard anything on that, James? Yeah, so I'll get you an update this week. I'll send you an email.
My follow-up question.
Mrs. Hoover.
My assumption is that the money will continue to accrue. I guess my hope is the money will continue to accrue, and then we'll get a big check, as opposed to now we figured out how we're going to pay you guys starting this date is when we'll start keeping track of the tax. Is that, do we think that that's how they're doing it?
Yeah, yes, because very much so. So the money that is, at least for it's still going into the fund. The issue is that when basically when the citizen petition came forward to put it on the ballot, they did not put a mechanism in there that automatically appropriates the money. So basically automatically makes the money available to be used, to be sent to the cities. Most of the initiatives that have happened like that, like a specific one, the casino initiative, the one that authorized casinos in the state, that one had an automatically executing appropriations clause in it. This one, it was an oversight, I think, on their part, and it didn't. So I think that we will eventually get those appropriations. don't know if it'll get the 20 or 36%, but I think it'll get done eventually. And yes, we will likely get the back money if the state legislature doesn't just make it zero. So that we will, as long as they don't make it zero, I think you're right. We'll get that lump sum, and because it is accumulated, that fund is growing right now. The host community fund is there; it exists. So yeah, that's my hope for sure.
Mrs. Hoover.
One more clarifying question. So after 4 years, it's going into a state of Ohio slush fund
Yeah. So
as opposed to going.
Mr. Bonzo.
Oh, sorry. No. Sorry. Yeah, I get a little passionate about this one. Didn't mean to. Yeah. So basically, what they're trying to do, the state already put a sales tax on adult use cannabis. So that's like 7. I guess their portion of it's like 6 or 7%. I don't know what the state sales tax is. I know ours, of course, includes county taxes as well. But they have the sales tax that's on there. So they're already getting those funds. Now they're trying to, the 10%, excise tax that was to go to various things that the voters approved when it comes to, there's an equity fund, there's the home use fund. They're trying to say now, we don't just want our 7%, our regular state sales tax, that we want, they really want everything. And yeah, it's very frustrating. Yeah, so it's very frustrating. They're already getting their piece. They want more. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take part of it from the city. It's very likely that some of those funds are going to be gone. I mean, like the equity, I think there was I forgot what the other 2 funds are, but there's 2 of them that are gone. The host community fund has more support at the state legislature than a lot of the others. So it's hopeful that we'll get something, but I think it's just like a lesson learned I'm sure people that do initiatives in the future will very, very much ensure that they get all of the appropriation stuff in there they need, because, we're just at the whim of the state legislature, and they, seems like they can do what they want with impunity at this point.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Bonzo? All right, Mr. Miracle.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening at our Finance Committee meeting, we discussed the tax budget. As you know, we had all the information that we could start with beginning last week, the 21st. We've gotten a good piece of that done with the expenses, and we're sharing that with the Finance Committee. Also, we're meeting weekly. We have 2 Finance Committee members that have volunteered to meet with us, so that's every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We're going over that until we get that completed. As you know, that's due July the 15th. We want to get that to council so we can have all 3 readings. Also, we're working on the P card manual. We discussed that as well this evening. I think we have a pretty good progress on that as well. Our intention is to have that in front of council the first meeting in June as well. I think we talked about at the last meeting that we had filed our records retention with the state, and it takes about 2 months to get that back. We haven't got anything back yet, so hopefully we get word back from them soon so we can move forward with that. And we are going to be working on taking some classes with the VIP analytics. That'll be happening here in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Miracle? All right, Mr. Moore.
No, unless somebody's got questions.
Any questions for Mr. Moore? All right, then we will move on to unfinished business.
I think it's the bottom one, today's date. Yep.
We're back to unfinished D business.
Unfinished.
Okay.
Mrs. Hoover.
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Hoover.
In English.
Out of order. My apologies. When we were just looking at it, it was not doing that. So, just saying. That's all I have to say about that. Can you bring us up to speed on this, President Gears?
I can. We are closing in on almost 700 surveys. There are signs posted throughout the parks. This link, this QR code is also still available. And the one for the school, you will be forwarding that one on, or you will not?
I can do it.
All right. And then we will have, I'm going to assume or hope, several hundred more completed surveys from school faculty and/or students, parents, guardians, all of the above.
Can you,
Mrs. Hoover?
in terms of the one for the chamber?
Yes, that one.
Will you be mailing that out?
I will start with an email. The other thing, and we could dive into this more in committee of the whole, but thought process. If we wanted to throw a large QR code in the parade, if we actually kept it running through the end of July, and that way we have people who are there and, you know, they're going to take pictures of everybody's smiling faces as they're parading through either Montgomery Road or along the Bridget Kelly Norwood lateral, whichever route we have to redirect. We will have a code. It'll be a quick parade. We will have a code available there that people can scan while we are moving through. Mrs. Hoover.
Can we also perhaps look at having some cards made to drop off at local businesses?
Yes, yeah. Where was I? Oh, I was at Arby's and kind of had that same thought too.
I was in the Board of Elections.
There as well.
That's it. I didn't know the mayor was going to be here. I was told that you weren't, so I threw this in. I'm glad that you mentioned it, sir. They had the Victory Park Memorial Celebration. It was lovely. Really great crowd. I was aware that a bunch of folks didn't know about it, and so one thing that we are continuing to work on is trying to improve communication. So I've already reached out to Noah about making sure that this event gets put on the calendar for next year, so folks just know about it. It's always lovely. Gentleman there speaking about his experience on Honor Flight.
And I'll just note on that, my recollection, this is probably one of the larger veteran turnouts that we've had at a Memorial Day celebration ceremony. So that was nice to see.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes. So we had some slight adjustments to our Pride programming. If you caught us talking about it last meeting, we've made a few date changes just to accommodate some partner organizations. So on June 1st, which is this upcoming Sunday, which feels insane that it's already June almost, we'll have the Norwood Pride Market, and that will be on Mills, just past Montgomery, next to Victory Park. We've got some great vendors. Some are local Norwood vendors, which is really exciting, and some activities for kids and families. The cidery is putting out a cider garden, which will be great. Hopefully the weather is beautiful and we get all this rain out of our system. On the 8th, we are partnering with Queen City Bike to do a Pride Ride slow roll through the city. There will be a decoration station to get your bike all tricked out with Pride gear. And then a 4 to 5 mile ride that can be at anyone's pace. So kids are welcome, families are welcome. If you want to ride really fast and beat everybody there, that's great too. On Saturday, June 21st, we are partnering with the Norwood branch of the public library to have a book club. Susan would like for you to play the next slide, please. One more. There we go. The book club, the book that we are reading is called Light from Uncommon Stars. There are plenty of copies available at the library, and they are putting a display out front. So as soon as you come in, there should be a display just as soon as they get those copies in. If you are an audiobook reader or a digital copy reader, there are plenty of copies available on Libby as well. This is a great book. I read it last year. I really, really enjoyed it. It is very fun. And very unexpected. If you have not read magical realism before, this is the book that got me really into that genre. And then I'm so sorry, Mr. President, will you go back? Thanks. On June 29th, we are going to do a chalk walk on Waston Way to kind of throw it back to our first Pride celebration in 2021. So I hope to see some folks there.
Mrs. Hoover.
The next one is our energy aggregate. I'm aware that Mr. Powers is not here, but I did hear some chatter online and was hoping we could get some clarification for folks. The way the city does energy aggregate is we have an opt-out policy. The reason we do that is because it guarantees us a better rate than an opt-in. So there is going to be a gap in services. If you see up there, it says June 2025. So some folks got a letter saying you were switching, but you'll be, if you've not opted out, you will be going to this energy plan. The QR code takes you to this page, which gives more information. The reason we held off, and please correct me if I'm incorrect, Mr. Mayor, but we're going to be locking in at a lower rate, and in June, Duke Energy is going to be having their price is going to be going up. So everyone has an opportunity to opt out, but this does anticipate saving residents quite a bit of money. So that's information about it for you.
Thank you.
And then, sorry, one last, I got them out of order. If anyone else is interested in signing up to volunteer for any of the Pride events, we had some amazing outpouring of support. So there's still an opportunity to sign up for things, and we'll be doing a sign up genius for all of those events. So you can do that code if you would like to join in the festivities. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Any new business? Mr. Gerton?
If you can advance one slide. We had the Water Tower Park cleanup, and we had about 50 people there, including kids. And we got down on our hands and knees, scraped all the cracks, cleaned it up. And if you see the bottom right picture, it's what the court looks like now. We've got brand new asphalt down on there, thanks to all of our hard work getting that prepped and Darren Hackworth's project management expertise. Our next step, all the grant funds had to be used by the end of May, so we went ahead and prepaid for the fence line to be done, and that should be done in the next couple of weeks. So it should look better than it did, but look very similar to what it would have in its prime very soon.
Thank you. Any other new business? Mrs. Hoover.
Waterworks Pool is actually opening tomorrow at noon, so I lied that it's open now, but no one wants to go now anyway. That QR code takes you to information on how to get membership. We have lots of different layers, family, as well as individual kids, things like that. So take a look at that. And then this was an email we just got. I'm so excited. Representative Landsman has formally submitted the Doral Field Improvement Plan for $1.5 million. So for those of you, if you remember, we had worked to have the money appropriated in 2025, but then with the new administration put a freeze on the budget, and then they passed it without that community funding in it. So no one got any money for community funding in 2025. So what Landsman is doing is he opened it back up for everyone who'd applied for 2025 to apply for 2026, had to do some, new letters, some new, zhuzhing it up, and it has been accepted, and he is sending it up for appropriations. So that is huge, huge, huge news. Still don't know what's happening in Mr. Marino's office. There seems to be a little disorganization there, so no idea what's happening with that funding, but we're working on it. I'm working on it. But this is absolutely phenomenal news that we just heard about. And I believe that is all I have for that.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. First of all, I want to pay my respects to our veterans here in Norwood and abroad. Being self-employed, it's hard for me. I've never had a paid holiday. So when my family and friends are off for holidays and I'm normally working, so I just want to just want to pay my respects to our veterans here in Norwood for my unattendance. Secondly, I want to say, I want to give a congratulations to one of my good friends who I've been looking up to for years and years. His daughter just got married, and not only that, he's put her through medical school. And, I've just been watching this for years, and I'm so proud of him. I just want to congratulate you, Mr. Miracle. Good job, nice work. Such a beautiful daughter. What a beautiful family. And last, I'm not going to be here next council meeting. Just want to make everybody aware. I've got this really grueling work outing, in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, that I really have to attend. So I'm not going to be here, and I apologize for that. So thank you.
That's right.
Noted. Any other new business? Mrs. Hoover?
I have a question. I didn't pose it when Mr. Miracle was doing his budget, because I wasn't really sure it would fall under that, but would love for us to have an update or a conversation about the Norwood television budget. And I know that Mrs. Yeager is still here and that she has information that might be helpful. If you would be willing,
Mr. Miracle?
Yeah, sure. And then I forwarded the email that Mary just sent Saturday to you.
Oh, awesome.
Or Mrs. Yeager?
Yes, I've been in the process of gathering the financial information from the Norwood Community Television, and they sent me some stuff Friday, which I forwarded on to the Finance Committee, and then I just got an email shortly, while I was at the committee meetings. So I haven't forwarded that yet, but I have been gathering in the information so that the Finance Committee can consider the funding for, they're requesting $40,000. Their initial financial reports they gave me were not accurate or missing information or something, so they had their accountant redo the financial reports, and this way the committee can work with better numbers to assess the funding request.
Mrs. Hoover?
So my question is, my understanding is that, and for those at home, Norwood Television has historically been paid by both the school board and council.
No.
No.
No, there was what I understand is there was an ordinance decades ago that established for cable television a certain fee that gets attached to it. Well, what I understand from the situation is over the years, streaming is now what most people are doing. So fewer and fewer people get cable. So that ordinance that had that fee attached to it, the money from Cincinnati Bell and there's another one. So there are a couple of them has been decreasing steadily. So this is actually their first, what I understand, their first request for funding from the city.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So to clarify, the franchise fees are what has historically been the major source of funding for NCT or the PACE. So it is a PACE board that I believe was created in, I want to say 79, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. I was 3 at that time, so I was not aware. But yes, it is their request, since their services are utilized almost evenly between city and school, was to reach out to both areas for kind of that supplemental funding to make up for the ongoing decrease in franchise fees, because their expenses are not decreasing, but their source of revenue is it is decreasing each quarter as they receive payments. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two-part question. Was that $40,000 annually that they're asking, or is that a one-time fee, or is that annually? Assuming.
I think it's intended to be ongoing, but I'm not sure. At least it's this year, and then they're evaluating different options, I think. But they're at least asking for $40,000, but it could be ongoing.
So, I mean, assuming that we do it, that's fine, but if we don't, what's our, like, if we wasn't to spend that money?
If we were not to pay that, I'm not sure that NCT would be able to exist at their current level and also offer the same services, as they would not be able to fund their staff.
Follow up?
Mr. Braden.
Thank you. So is it required that we have these meetings publicized as on this televised like this, or is that something that we can go away and everything will be fine for us? Just curious, just my own curiosity.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Moore on that one. I believe we have to post the meetings and distribute minutes, but as far as the actual video recording,
There's no legal requirement that we have our meetings televised or recorded on YouTube. But that was part of the original cable TV laws, where if you're going to run this through this, you're going to have to offer public access programming. You're going to have to offer, film the government business, but government meetings, sports events, things like that were part of the deal when they came up with, what do we get out of you letting you run your lines through our city? And that's what we got. That was part of our deal.
Follow up, please.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. President. So yeah, if I remember correctly, they used to be located in the schools, and it was a program with the schools, and that the students got to use that, and then they would come to us, and we would borrow them from the school. Years ago, this is years ago. I'm showing my age. I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, I don't have a personal issue with that. I mean, as far as, I guess the state's okay with us paying $40,000. I mean, that's all. I just want to comment that, if the state has an issue with that, we don't use them, I don't know.
on my thoughts or opinion on that is $40,000 is a deal for the amount of services that we receive from NCT, as well as the community outreach that they provide.
I'm not saying I don't agree with that. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Thank you.
Mr. Bonzal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate letting me speak here. So I mean, I did pull some numbers back when this first was brought up, maybe a couple months ago. In 2019, so our franchise fee revenue for the city, it was $178,000. And so we would have transferred, basically 100% of that would have went to NCT to help them fund, their kind of operations. The school district has contributed historically in providing space, so they still are at the high school, and they are, they've got that space there, and so the school district pays the utilities and all the different things that would go into that, the maintenance and things of that space. So we paid $178,000 in 2019 as revenue that kind of came into the city. In 2024, it was $127,000. So that's almost that is a $50,000 a year decrease. The employees that are there, it's the same 3 employees that have been there for years, at least, since I've been running for office since 2015. And I can assure you that, or I could feel very confident in saying that they are, it's highly unlikely they've gotten much of a raise at all in that time. Like they run on a shoestring budget and very, very tight. So, it's not, it's unfortunate on their part. I'm very impressed with the 3 that are there. They're very dedicated to the craft, the thing they do. I would say that I do agree that with the President of Council, there's immense community benefit that's provided by Norwood Community Television. And, yes, if let's say they decided that they couldn't afford to keep broadcasting the council meetings, could we hire somebody to do it? We probably could, and they could throw it on the city's Facebook page. But, I think that the real question is, do we want to see NCT and all of the benefit that they do to the community, the different things they record, continue into the future? And I think if so, I think personally, to me, if we could figure it out, like getting them, at least through this year while we continue the discussion, I think it would be well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
Would there be an issue with the state allowing us to appropriate the funds for Norwood Television? I believe that's a question for the auditor.
Mr. Miracle.
I think that's something we'd have to obviously ask them. So, we've been trying to get the correct information for a little while now that we have it. As of or
I
Saturday.
think we got it today, the rest of it today.
Yeah, most of today. So yeah, we can move forward with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I understand this is very active and fluid, so thanks for bringing me up to speed.
Any other new business? All right, moving on to communications. The first is a letter from Mayor Schneider regarding April Mayor's Court fines.
Dear Mr. President and council members, enclosed, please find the report for Norwood Mayor's Court for the month of April 2025. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Victor Schneider, Mayor.
Mrs. Franzen,
I move we receive and file the letter.
motion to receive and file the letter. Is there a second? Mrs. Hoover,
I'll second.
seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item is a communication from Mrs. Hoover regarding executive session.
President Gears, I would like to request that we amend the agenda for Tuesday, May 27, to allow for council to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. Thank you for your assistance, Susan Hoover.
Thank you. Mr. Gert,
Make a motion that we go into executive session for pending litigation.
to receive and file the letter and
You
enter.
said that much more eloquently than I did.
It's the nuances. Right? Receive and file the letter and enter executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Bowling,
I'll second.
seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Council will now enter executive session. Those of you in the audience who are not members of the administration, we ask that you leave, and once executive session has completed, we will invite you back. Thank you. Council has now returned from executive session. We have no absent members. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Franzen,
I move we adjourn.
is there a second? Ms. Royce,
I'll second.
seconded by Ms. Royce. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.